Welcome to today's conversation on nutrition. This is going to be a video in a question and answer format covering the topics of calories, metabolism, and fats. So part one, let's talk about calories and metabolism. Question I've received a lot, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, is what is a calorie? Some people will say a calorie is good, is it bad? Well, a calorie is a unit of heat energy. So to simplify, calories are energy. Our bodies have an optimal temperature in which it works best. Our body's ideal homeostasis is at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So the question might be, why? Well, at that homeostasis, the enzymes, which is protein-based chemicals in our body, which regulates all of our internal processes, which allows us to live, works best at that particular temperature. So are calories good or bad for you? Neither. Calories are essential for us to survive. If we eat too many calories, which again, calories are energy, that could be harmful. And if we don't eat enough calories, have enough energy we ingest and consume, that can also be harmful. How many calories should I consume? Difficult question to answer because it differs on each person's unique body type. And that really has to do with the individual's metabolism, which is how much energy your body actually needs. So again, what is metabolism? The definition is the amount of energy your body requires on a daily basis. If you're active, then you'll require more energy than somebody who is not active. What does it mean when somebody or someone says they have a fast metabolism? This usually refers to an individual who has trouble putting on weight, maybe putting on muscle mass also. The theory is the food that they eat is not being stored because he or she is utilizing all this energy. So their metabolism takes the food that you've just eaten and utilize it for energy. You don't store it. Individuals who are very active and have maintained their muscle mass have a greater chance to have a high metabolism, which allows us to when we sit down at the table, we can eat food and the worries are less of us storing it and more on utilizing it. Can I create a faster metabolism? The good question is yes. If you're eating healthy, if you're being active, if you are doing resistance training and building lean body mass, this will raise your metabolism and improve your internal health, which is most important, but also improve your body composition outwardly. So where do calories come from? There are three major sources of energy, and this is where they come from, which is fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And the rest of this presentation is going to be on fats. And there will be further videos that will cover proteins and carbohydrates. So part two, our conversations on fat. Aren't fats bad for you? Another question I've heard many times from students and also from adults. There are healthy fats and not so healthy fats. Fats provide the most abundant source of energy per gram compared to the other two energy sources. A little goes a long way when it comes down to fat and the energy that we get from fat. So what are these healthy fats? From healthiest to least healthy, I would go number one, healthiest unsaturated fats. Recommended as a major source of your fat intake, but always in moderation because it's very abundant in energy. Number two, saturated fats in small amounts I would recommend. And number three, hydrogenated oil / trans fats, which to me is the same thing, is recommended to totally eliminate from your diet. So let's talk about unsaturated fats. So what is an unsaturated fat? Think of a fat that is always in the form of a liquid such as oils like olive oil, nuts, seeds, plants, plant oil, vegetable oil. Also, there are healthy oils that come from particular fishes, flaxseed, and eggs, just to name a few. They are unsaturated that carry essential nutrients called omegas. Omega is a particular unsaturated fat we're going to get into. So why are omegas essential? There are 50 essential nutrients. Carbohydrates, protein, fat are some of them, but omegas is also another essential nutrient. Omegas support a healthy heart and brain. On the heart health, it prevents abnormal heart rhythm and eases inflammation that can contribute to coronary artery blockage. For brain health, omegas are necessary in building the building blocks for the brain development for babies, and also have been shown to reduce the risk of depression and related mood disorders. Also, there's new studies coming out that shows that omegas may help prevent age-related dementia and joint pain. So you definitely want to make omegas part of your daily consumption. What are some examples of foods with omegas? Cold water fishes such as salmon, sardines, mackerel, tuna, halibut, anchovies, rainbow trout, herring, to name a few. Flaxseed oil, certain eggs, walnuts, avocados are good sources of omegas. What else do fats do? Fats are essential nutrients. They are the major stored form of energy in the body. Fats have many essential functions in maintaining health, such as transporting fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Fats form the major materials of cell membranes and insulates the body against cold temperatures, just to name a few examples of the importance of fat. Why are some fats not healthy? Just as unsaturated fats are liquids, oils at room temperature, saturated fats in hydrogenated oil/trans fat are solid at room temperature but turn into liquid at extreme heats, and when they cool they become solid again. So why is this so important? There is a link of consuming too much of this type of fat can A. start forming plaque along vessel walls, which can lead to heart attacks and or stroke, and B. it can also raise cholesterol. So again, the fats that are in the solid form are the fats that we ideally want to eliminate, or to do it in some very, very small amounts. So let's talk about these fats, the saturated fats. So some examples of saturated fat, you can think of animal fat, so fat that you would get from beef, chicken, pork, and also products that are byproducts of animal fat, such as dairy, which is butter, cheese, milk, and ice cream. So a question I've heard a lot is, do I have to give up my ice cream? No, you don't have to give up your ice cream. You just have to make healthy choices, so a little ice cream is okay. The most important part is the portion size and the quantity, so small amounts are okay. So small amounts of ice cream, cheese, butter, okay. But eating butter, an example, eating butter with every meal is not the healthiest choice. You could substitute it with unsaturated fats. You can substitute oils instead of butter. It's a much healthier option. You can also lower saturated fat intake by healthier low-fat milk and reducing the fat. An example is if you're going to have chicken, you take off the skin. Attached to the skin is the fat, so that makes chicken leaner and a lot healthier. The next topic we're going to talk about is the third type of fat, which is trans fat/hydrogenated oil. Excuse me for a second, little drink of water. So what are hydrogenated oil, trans fat? This is something that I'll say right from the beginning, you got to eliminate it. And about most foods that are packaged, probably about 60 to 80% of foods that are packaged have hydrogenated oil in it. And just a couple years ago, they started to post trans fat on packages as like 0% trans fat. But over a decade ago, that wasn't the case. And pretty soon with hydrogenated oil, it's going to be the same. Hydrogenated oil and trans fat to me are the same thing. So imagine for hydrogenated oil and trans fat, imagine an oil that was turned into a solid. So it still acts like a saturated fat. When you think of butter, it's a solid. So hydrogenated oil is oil that now takes the form of butter. It's the Frankenstein of fats. It's been chemically altered in a laboratory, and research is starting to show that these particular fats play even a bigger role in the rate of poor health. It's even more deadly on the body than saturated fats. Saturated fats at least are natural, coming from animal, whereas hydrogenated oil/trans fat has been chemically altered. An example of hydrogenated oil is margarine. So you can think of saturated fat as butter, and then hydrogenated oil as margarine. So if you were taking margarine, highly recommended you take that out of your normal consumption and either substitute it with butter, and better yet, you can substitute it with oils, which is unsaturated. I heard that fat makes you fat, and this isn't quite true because eating fats in moderation are actually very healthy, especially from food sources such as nuts, seeds, olives, and avocados, which are, again, unsaturated. Eating foods that were dipped in fat, fried foods, or eating too much of a fat, of course, would be not the healthiest choice because it's too much energy. It's high in saturated fat. And if you consume too much energy, then your body will use what it needs at that particular time. Again, going back to metabolism, and the extra energy will be converted into fat. So anything that you eat, fats, carbohydrates, proteins, if you take in too much energy, your body automatically can and probably will store it as fat in the body. So the key point here is moderation with anything that you eat. You want to make healthy choices. You want to choose foods that will nourish the body. So we're going to be checking for comprehension here. It's always nice after a presentation to see what you have taken away from it. So the 3 questions, and I'll give you a little time. You can pause the video. Is what is the calorie? Number 2, what is metabolism? Number 3, list the order of fats from healthiest to unhealthiest. Pause the video and then we'll give you the answers right after this. So a calorie is energy in the simplest terms. Metabolism is the amount of energy that our bodies need daily. And from healthiest to unhealthiest for fats, unsaturated fats are the healthiest, and then you have saturated fat, and then the trans fat hydrogenated oil, which is the worst. That is the least healthy. Next set of questions is list 2 food examples for unsaturated fat. Number 5, list 2 examples of saturated fat. And then number 6, list 1 food example for a trans fat / hydrogenated oil. Again, pause the video, think about it, and then continue, and you'll find the answers. So list 2 food examples of unsaturated fat. Oils, it could be olive oil, oils from nuts, seeds, and again, not even like peanut oil. It could just be eating peanuts. You'll be getting the good oils. Seeds, plant oil such as vegetable oil, and then oils from fish, avocado. Number 5, 2 examples of saturated fat is any fat that comes from animal and any byproduct of animal such as dairy, cheese, milk, butter. Number 6, example of trans fat hydrogenated oil, margarine. And again, like I was saying earlier, and I'll talk about this in future videos, this is the one fat you want to totally eliminate from your consumption. And unfortunately, most packaged foods has hydrogenated oil in it in some kind of form. Cottonseed, hydrogenated oil, soybean, hydrogenated oil. You got to stay away. So there will be, this is the conclusion of this conversation, and there's going to be a transcript of this presentation. It's going to be available in a hard copy where you can actually print it out if you like to study it and look over it.